Yo, what up? Cryptochronica here to show you how I made some of the sounds in this extremely ridiculous track that I wrote, cat trap, this new genre of trap that I'm completely interested in making, not. Anyway, you heard in the recording that we had some kitties, some doors, some weird clinks, pops and clicks and stuff like that I turned into percussion. So every single thing in this song was made from this recording and this sample. It's part of why it sounds so low fidelity and hilarious, because we recorded this on a phone. So it sounds absolutely shit, which is great. Now, the way I made the kick is I threw it into a sampler here. That's the door sound, and turned on a little bit of a pitch decay. So here's the sound. Oops, got to solo that. Cool. With the pitch decay, we're giving it a transient. Then I really boost the shit out of the low end with some EQing and then some clipping to round it off nicely. Then same thing with the snare. The snare started off as just the plain old door, kind of a nice blocky sound. It's even got some reverb baked into the recording, which is great. Boosted some resonances all in the key of E, so that way it has some tone. Lifted the highs, compressed it to bring out, with a slow attack, some of the clickiness of a transient, boosted it in volume, and then smashed that into a clipper. Cool. Now with our rolls and stuff like that, these are all made from variations of the snare, but they have some filtering on them so that they sound like hi-hats. That's essentially the snare. Cool. And then the build-up, they filter. Cool. I made a clap from that same sample. So here's the door again. Cool. And then basically filtered it and took just the mids. Sounds like a clap with a little bit of hall reverb. And again, more clipping. This is just the Cymatics Diablo Light clipper. Everyone should have this in their arsenal. If you are unfamiliar with it, looks absolutely ridiculous, but it's a fantastic clipper and sounds great. The tom sounds that we hear in the turnaround are basically same thing. It's just the door inside of a sampler, but I'm shifting it, and then I'm also opening up a EQ that moves across it, following that transient. I'm sorry, that fundamental, a little bit of erosion without the erosion. Cool, and then it pans from left to right, so it has some movement. The open hat sound is the sound of the can opening up. Pretty much dry, bone dry, nothing special to it. We got some offbeat cat chants. Cool, with the hats and the snare. And then some extra snares that I made just by pitching up the main snare a couple of semitones. So the whole drum set is... Okay, cool, you get the idea. Now, basses. How do you make basses out of a cat voice? That's really, really challenging because kitties, unfortunately, don't have a lot of low-end content. So we got cat voice. You sound so distressed. So I took that cat voice and basically in this channel, I threw it into granulator and stretched it out. So I had a lot of long, low cat voices to play, pitched it down an octave. Now it's a dying ghost cat. After I had dying ghost cat, we basically did some spectral resonance and some regular resonance. So here's the spectral resonator, tuned to the key of E, bringing out some of the lows. The regular resonator, same thing, also to the key of E0. Different kind of spectrally ghosty cat. And then I was like, fuck it, let's do both of them at once and then smash them into a bunch of distortion and clipping. And I was like, that's a cool sound that we can use to make a bass wavetable. So I took that whole sound without the transgate, whole sound, threw that into phase plant as a wavetable here. And inside of phase plant, this wavetable is doing quite a bit of the work. Got some distortion, some comb filtering, some filtering, and then some saw wave subs, essentially. So that is what's driving the FM in the sound and is giving us like a very crunchy kind of bass, as that cat voice is the actual FM source. So if we check out what the bass is doing, sounds like shit because it is entirely 2 CPU intensive. But basically, bass plant is FMing everything, and that's what gives it that cool sound. All right, sweet. And then some of the other sounds that I think are kind of neat are basically this one right here is the rattle. This is the little clinky sounds that we got from the actual recording. Threw them into a sampler or a simpler and arpeggiated them and gave them picked where I wanted it to start. So it's just counting in threes and it's just playing little tones, little tinky tones. And that every time I was playing that and making that sound, my cats are like looking around thinking they're about to get another treat. Of course they weren't. And then when I played the whole song for them, they thought I was literally torturing a kitten or something because they were freaked out. It was absolutely hilarious. Now, this the main kind of like saw wave sort of EDM silly sound like that is made from the actual is also made from the sample thrown into a simpler. I just isolated that little slice right here. Oh, over here, sorry. Doesn't sound like much. And then once it had been recorded, took out some of the lows, auto-tuned it so it's in the key of our song, soothed it to get some of the resonances out, OTT'd the shit out of it, cut the lows that the OTT boosted, did some parallel dimension expanders, some chorus, and took out more of those painful resonances, a little bit of echo, a little bit of Valhalla, and then a little bit more OTT into a clipper here. So essentially that's kind of like the main lead, and then all the turnarounds are me.
Okay, here you go.
Negotiating with my hungry cat that I'm cat sitting, and then we got some kilohertz trance gates on some of these other cat voices. That's again just that main cat recording, all pitched down and distorted and stuff. And that's essentially it, except for the riser. Now, how do we do our risers? Basically, the riser is the cat that has been meowed and looped. And after I looped our little friend, our little kitty friend, I pitched it up and OTT'd it and did some chorus to make it a little bit softer sounding, some EQing to kind of take out those lows again. That delay that you're hearing is just running on and on and on. We call this the Hans Zimmer shepherd's tone delay. It's basically just a bunch of echoes in a different rack, and each one is set to a bar. So it'll be like, it just keeps going forever and ever and ever as long as I want it to. And then some reverb and some spread come on over time, giving us the full effect of a rising cat. All right, cool. Now, my favorite sound in the entire composition is the cat cop. Where Kitty becomes a siren. And basically that's the same premise as the riser. You just loop the voice, and then instead of pitching it all the way up in your transpose setting, you go up and down like a cop siren would. And in this case, the 3 semitones was the sweet spot. So in our transposition, oh, my bad, 5 semitones, it goes up, down, and it sounds like our cat has become a siren. So anytime my cats start to nag at me for treats, I just play that sample and they freak out because they think they're under arrest for being some bad kitties. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll check you later. Peace.